The discussion then, after we talk about energy, is to connect the understanding between the energy business and the jobs that are available. The biomass is when we cut trees, and the slash is used then to produce electricity. It's put into a plant, and the refuse material is used to generate electricity. We have to start cutting trees again. That's an ongoing discussion that you have from our office to the Forest Service, saying that we shouldn't be burning our trees, we should be cutting them and using them to create jobs, and biomass jobs are one of the ones in the energy sector that would be created. With the oil and gas up in the northwest corner and the southeast part of the state, those are creating jobs not just in the industry but peripheral jobs. So if you're driving a truck in the oil business in Lee, Eddy, or Chaves County, you're probably making $80,000 to $120,000 a year now. Our last job fair, we had 14 jobs at $120,000 a year that went unfilled because we couldn't get people to take them. Now what's happening is that people all over the country are coming into New Mexico. They'll work 2 weeks here and then go home for 2 weeks because they can make enough in 2 weeks to feed their family for the year. Every week we have the flights into and out of Hobbs filled with people either coming in or going out. At least 20,000 to 30,000 jobs are provided in New Mexico by the oil and gas industry. The next great jobs are in the coal mining industry. Again, those jobs are probably in the $60,000 range, and those typically are people up in the northern part of the state. A lot of Navajos, for instance, working there. Some of the suggestions coming from our federal government would shut down those mines, so they would send Navajo miners back to the reservation to live at subsistence level wages that they get a check from the government, and they would give up these $60,000 a year jobs. Now, to me, that's counterproductive, doesn't make sense. The algae plants in both Lee County and there near Columbus are providing good, high-paying technical jobs. The nuclear facility over in Eunice, again, is a couple of hundred high-tech, nuclear-type technology jobs. A lot of construction jobs going along with it. They have now had 3 building phases, and each one of them brings in several hundred people to pour concrete and build the buildings. So again, that's a very high development area. The biomass plants, that's still all speculative, but we would put the timber industry back to work in New Mexico if we had the Forest Service willing to cut the trees. Then again, large, high-paying jobs, probably in the $70,000 a year range if we started cutting trees and processing the trees through the mills. The biomass plants just use the refuse, the slash, the undergrowth. They use the limbs that are trimmed off. The uranium mines need to be opened up again. That's up along the interstate coming out of Albuquerque. Again, the wind generators, there's construction jobs when those go in, but after that, then not so many as you'd find in the oil and gas field, and not as much need for the ongoing maintenance. Same thing in the solar industry. And then finally, Los Alamos and Sandia Labs, those are PhD type jobs, very high tech, very high paid. So New Mexico gets a lot of jobs and a lot of economic benefit from the energy industry. So then the final area that we would discuss would be the jobs in geothermal. They're potential, but they have not accessing that geothermal energy. Again, the federal government, we had some jobs out there. We actually had a greenhouse that produced roses they sent nationwide, and they've shut down because the government became too difficult to figure out how they were going to charge for the geothermal. But again, it's a tremendous source of jobs and of energy if we would access it from the state. So then the final discussion about energy would be, what's the effect on our government? So New Mexico's government is run from Santa Fe, and so we put Santa Fe up here, and that's the New Mexico state government. And all of these jobs, but especially the oil and gas, they send money up here to Santa Fe, and so the state's budget is about $5 billion. And oil and gas, for instance, provides directly about $1 billion, so 20% of New Mexico's budget comes from there. So even though you might not live in the northwest corner or the southeast corner of the state, if you're a teacher anywhere in the state, this $1 billion then is sent back out and distributed to each county, but about $400+ million from this $1 billion goes to education. So if you're a teacher anywhere in the state, chances are about 40% of your paycheck is coming because these areas are working and providing jobs for the state. Similarly, Albuquerque, Sandia, the Los Alamos National Labs, they pay into the state budget. So these coal and the energy produced from that coal provide revenues from the state. So anytime somebody says that we want to do away with oil and gas, understand that you're going to hurt education. If you do away with coal, then you're going to put these people out on the streets. Your budget here will decrease because you have less revenues, fewer people working. The coal companies are paying less in taxes. So this entire system are sending money up to Santa Fe. The money is then used across each one of the counties to build senior citizen centers, maybe to provide assistance for needy families. Maybe they fund just the healthcare clinics, the ones that Medicaid patients use. That's my family got our shot. We went to the county clinic to get our shots and things when we grew up. So very familiar with those agencies, and they provide good service for us. Again, the energy industry does a lot to provide the revenues that the rest of the state uses in state government.